legislators and businesses do their part to make our communities safer.
Can you name the lie you're referring to? What are you talking about?
I don't know, but
nobody's accused the lie. I mean,
did you hear the litany of cameras clicking in the background?
Oh, that's when the blood started squirting out of his eyes.
He had literally a trail. Now, I'm not going to get racist here, but he does have dark skin. Okay,
all right.
So the trail of water down his eye is more. You can see it more prevalent.
Because of the reflection of the lights and stuff like that.
And his skin being dark.
It has like a shine to it.
Yeah,
right.
And his skin being dark helps to accentuate that versus someone with really light skin. My whole point about this is it was huge.
I did see that. It almost
looked
like they cut to a commercial so they could put the
painted on. Yes!
It looked
and all the cameras, we got to get, the Tears for Fears. So that was Matt Drudge.
Tears for Fears.
Tears for Fears.
Matt Drudge.
I kicked myself because I didn't come up with that.
Right.
That was too good.
That was your era.
Yes!
That was your era. Tears for Fears.
Do you remember what you and Jason and Carrie used, or you and Eric used to call them Tears for Fears?
No, I called them that.
Did you make up that name?
I didn't make it up.
Where'd you get it from?
Okay, so back in the day, we used to watch TVs called cathode ray tubes, CRTs. And these were, oh my goodness, like the resolution was atrocious.
Right.
So back in the day, there used to be this TV channel called MTV. You may have heard of it.
They played music videos.
They played music videos like you were watching like listening to the radio, like back to back to back to back. Amazing, right?
Right.
So I'm watching so a Tears for Fears song came on, and whenever you watch a video on MTV,
that's the name of the band, Tears for Fears. Right.
Yeah, the name of the band and the name of the song came down in little white letters at the bottom left.
Right.
So it started coming on, and of course it was the beginning, so I wanted to see what it was. And it was this blotchy white text, tiny little text, like 6 font at the bottom. And I just glanced at it, and I'm like,
no, this is how this came about?
Yeah, and I glanced at it, and I said, that says Tarts for Farts. And I started cracking up laughing, and I ran to go tell Eric, and he said, what? I said, yeah, they're called Tarts for Farts. I'm cracking up laughing.
Either I was there when it went down, or I was there a subsequent day where you said, hey, Brian, listen to this new band. Tarts for Farts.
Well, no, I never got corrected. Okay. So I heard the song on the radio later, and I said, this is Tarts for Farts. How could you forget such an unforgettable name? As a matter of fact, copyright smithradio.com. If any of you up-and-coming bands out there want to call yourselves something that's going to be memorable.
Forever.
At least for a 7 or 8 year old.
Right.
It's got to be Tarts for Farts.
Right.
Yep. So anyway.
So... Whew.
That's how that came to be.
Okay, so here's another story that Obama went off on that blood was shooting out of my eyes. And Carrie, maybe you can make sense of it.
Before we go on to this, should I explain why it's a complete fallacy to act like somebody going into a crowded theater with a gun and mowing them down is going to be violating your freedom of assembly or your right to life. Your rights have been taken away from you. Okay, that's why those actions are illegal. Because you're taking away those rights. You don't create laws under the guise that you're providing rights for people.
Yes.
No. It's already illegal to walk into a crowded theater with an AK-47 and start unloading clips. It's already illegal.
You can't shoot at people.
Of course you took the right to life away from them. That's why it's illegal. If you want them to be able to protect their lives, you need to stop attacking the one right in the Constitution that was put there to ensure the rights of all the other things, which is the right to freedom of speech, right to assembly, right to life, which is the Second Amendment. You need to allow them to protect themselves.
So what he's forgetting, and what he's he's got a misconception of a concept.
Yes,
is what he's got.
That's exactly what it is.
I've got a bumper sticker that was sent to me from the Tea Party Patriots that says, and it has 2 AK-47s pointing at each other on either end.
Okay.
And in the middle it says, the one right that protects them all.
And he's literally
Removing, he's the only protection.
So not only is he removing one of our rights under the fake, false guise that it's going to somehow help ensure all the other rights, he's actually putting at risk all the rest of your rights.
Every one of them.
You want to talk about the right to life? The guy comes in with a gun. Okay, first of all, what law is he going to put in play that's going to prevent somebody from going into the crowded theater and shooting you with the AK-47?
I don't know, but we've got to try and stop the next one.
How about if we remove the restrictions on the Second Amendment so that you can ensure that your right to life and your right to assembly is not violated?
Right.
It's that simple, folks. Right. It's that simple. All right, so you got another soundbite?
There's no, they call a hot break-in. They call it a hot break-in when somebody breaks into a house and there's a gun present in the house.
Ooh.
They call it a hot break-in.
Okay.
Versus a cold one.
Like the movie Heat, because there was a lot of gunfire in that.
Right. In Switzerland, there are 0 hot break-ins in the entire country because the law in Switzerland states that if you buy and own a house, you must outfit that house with a gun.
Well, if there's any break-in, you're saying there's no break-ins.
Literally 0 break-in because every house by law has a gun inside.
So you walk in, it's hot.
Every criminal knows. They did interviews with criminals in prison, and they said, "What's your worst nightmare?" "My worst nightmare is somebody with a gun in their house."
There you go.
That's a worst nightmare.
That's a learning thing right there. That's something to
keep that documentary quiet. So here's Obama's reference to communist China.
Ooh.
Each time this comes up, we are fed the excuse that common sense reforms like background checks might not have stopped the last massacre.
That's what I just said.
Or the one before that.
Maybe not.
Or the one before that. So why bother trying?
Oh, whatever. Why bother trying?
I had to cut out all the applause.
I reject that thinking.
Why reject you and your thinking?
And that went on for like a minute.
We know we can't stop every act of violence, every act of evil in the world.
We could with a gun.
But maybe we could try to stop one act of evil, one act of violence.
By taking away an entire amendment.
Some of you may recall at the same time that Sandy Hook happened, a disturbed person in China took a knife and tried to kill with a knife a bunch of children in China. But most of them survived.
Hold on.
They didn't have access to a powerful weapon.
Yes, he did.
We maybe can't save everybody, but we could save some. Just as we don't prevent all traffic accidents, but we take steps to try to reduce traffic accidents. As Ronald Reagan once said, if mandatory background checks could save more lives, it would be well worth making it the law of the land. The bill before Congress 3 years ago met that test.
Okay, now I don't know, and fact checkers haven't come out with this. I don't know what Ronald Reagan said, but if he quoted Reagan word for word in that statement there,
actually, I've heard the quote before.
Okay, he said, Ronald Reagan even said, if background checks would prevent violence, then okay, that would be good.
He did say that.
However,
there's a reason he said it, because it doesn't.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
He quoted he's using a statement. Dude, he is the devil.
Well, no.
He's got a forked tongue, a silver spoon in his mouth, and he's twisted logic.
His logic is extremely faulty. He's actually dancing on the edge of people that aren't even that smart going, oh, come on.
Right.
He's really getting close.
No, absolutely. So he references communist China and a knife-wielding guy. See, the guy only had a knife.
And so he didn't. So imagine how many more people he could have killed if he had access to a gun.
considering guns are absolutely banned in the entire communist China
But hold on.
regime.
So getting back to the soundbite, do you have more of that soundbite?
No, that's it.
Oh, okay. Well, here's what I think he was going to say. That, well, we put Ronald Reagan to the test, and turns out he was wrong. I think that may have been where he was going with that.
Well, no, he said, we put a bill up in Congress that did just what Reagan said. And he said 90% of Democrats voted yes. And the problem is 90% of Republicans, and they're blocking us again.
Wait a minute. So it wasn't put to the test. You're saying it wasn't passed.
No.
Well, then what is he talking about?
I don't know.
There is no comparison between not having a law and after not having a law. What comparison is that? Both times you don't have a law.
Right.
I mean, let's look at Chicago. All kinds of gun restrictions. Massive, massive casualties, deaths, whatever, right?
Right.
You just said a couple of minutes ago that Switzerland has no problems.
No.
And everybody has a gun.
Right.
So what are we talking about here? He's literally
We're talking about
lying.
Right. We're talking about taking the guns away from law-abiding citizens.
And we know based on facts that it will do nothing but the opposite of what he's trying to do.
Right.
So what is he doing it for? So that he can wield power over you. Why else would he be doing this?
Right. Okay, we only got 3 minutes and 40 seconds left.
Okay.
That whole thing with Bundy Ranch and the standoff called
It's a shame that Bundy has to be involved in this because Bundy really discredited himself with the racist remarks that,
right
back in the day.
So, oh, man.
Uh-oh. Hurry.
No, they're calling it Sagebrush Rebellion.
Okay.
The whole Bundy law. Anyways, constitutional scholar and lawyer said, according to the Constitution, the federal government cannot own any property outside of D.C.
Yeah, but that's obviously not been...
Okay, not been followed whatsoever.
No.
Okay.
Not even close.
That's what they're fighting. I don't know. It's crazy. Now, before I go too far, dagnabbit, Texas governor, back to the gun thing, Texas Governor Greg Abbott made good on his promise to challenge President Obama's gun control initiative Friday, calling for a constitutional convention of states to create several new amendments aimed at reasserting states' rights.
Okay.
Among nine proposed amendments, the Texas plan aims to prohibit Congress from regulating activity that occurs wholly within a state.
All right, real quick, since we're running out of time, people, if you're listening to this deep into it, I'm sure you already know, but if not, listen, there is a swelling rallying of very important people, congressmen and all that, for a convention of the states. Mark Levin is the one that pretty much made the spark to get this going. Learn about the Convention of States. It's part of the Constitution, and it's kind of a fail-safe. It's like the ejection handle on a tyrannical government in America, and it was written into the Constitution
for a reason,
for this very purpose, and now there's growing support for it. It's not known about or supported enough to actually make it happen yet, but it's growing every day, so support it, call your congressman, all that stuff to make the Convention of States happen.
Right. Absolutely, 100%. Donald Trump comes out and blasts Hillary Clinton, saying that all the sex scandals and sex and her husband's sex. So he came out with a video that poked fun at her because she was speaking about women's rights, and in the background there were pictures of all the women that have been victimized.
Wow.
Yeah, it blew it up.
I like it.
Rush says Hillary's not eligible for president of the United States because of all the crimes. Within 60 days, supposedly somebody's coming down within 60 days to indict her on all these things.
I hope so.
There's a lot of bad stuff coming down on her.
I hope so. Forget the Benghazi thing. The email scandal is something that she should probably do a little bit of time for. At least 12 months.
Oh, absolutely.
12 months would be fine.
So,
I'm cool with that.
Yeah, Trump comes out and says, if I'm elected president, there will be no such thing as a gun-free zone. And go watch the movie Making of a Murderer.
Oh,
Netflix
so awesome.
Insanity.
Documentary.
Documentary, Netflix Insanity. Watch out for those Muslims. Stay away from them. Don't believe them. They're coming against you.
Oh, my God. See you guys next week. Don't forget to share. like us on Facebook.
Do it twice.
With unfathomable power. What kind of power? Unfathomable. It's without fathom.